All right. Well, I'm recording here with Marcel. Marcel's a personal trainer and a mouth coach, I guess, based in Germany. I stumbled across him on Twitter, and it was a before-after picture. I guess it went a little bit viral on Twitter. People are all arguing in the comments like, oh, is this real? Because I guess I'll put this up when I edit this, so you'll be able to see this right now, the before-after picture in the future. But it was very dramatic, the difference in his jaw. And he did a method called the Mewing Method. And a lot of people in the comments like just totally thought it was so fake because it was this really dramatic transformation. And I was a little bit familiar with the Mewing Method, so I thought, I've seen some evidence that that kind of thing's possible. And I looked into him a little more, and it sounds like he did some really dramatic stuff to transform his jaw and palate and everything. So anyways, really fun to talk to you, and thanks for agreeing to chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Awesome opportunity for me to talk about a bit more about it. And yeah, it went pretty viral, and it's always amazing on Twitter, like as soon as a lot of people see it, like the accusations you get, like fake editing or you're using steroids or whatever it is, it's or plastic surgery. It's insane. Like sometimes I don't know how people can make such assumptions by only looking at two pictures.
Yeah, I think the difference was just so big between the two pictures, and most people don't know that you can change your bone structure at all. So I think in most people's heads, like, oh, the only way to change that much would be surgery or steroids or just Photoshop, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely when I showed my wife after you agreed to talk to me, I was like, hey, I'm going to interview this guy. Look at this crazy transformation he did. Won't this be interesting? And she immediately is like, oh, that's surgery. The guy's like tricking you. Why are you falling for this? And I was like, no, wait till you hear what he did. Like, it was really, you did some pretty extreme stuff to achieve that.
Yeah, definitely. And it also took some time. So it's not like it happened overnight or in 1 year. A lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I always feel like a bit hurt when someone says like surgery or stuff like that. I have to keep my emotions in check.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of what people are aware of as possible. So like I went pretty viral on TikTok a little while ago for posting about, I used to have schizophrenia and did a bunch of stuff to overcome that. And it was mostly on the natural side. Like I basically used the pharmaceuticals for a little while as kind of like a crutch, but in the end I kind of used like diet and meditation and breath work and things like that, and basically healed my brain and everything. But when I post that on TikTok, like 90% of people are like, oh, that's so cool, but then you get like 10% who just like, it absolutely blows their mind that you could cure schizophrenia at all. Like in their mind, it's like, it can't be cured. You're supposed to be medicated for life. How dare you give anybody any hope? They like really think I'm this danger, like on TikTok, like I'm gonna convince people to stop taking their meds and stuff. And I'm just like, no, we just haven't been really told what's possible, because what people can make money off of is us believing that it's not possible to heal these things, that we got to stay on this medication and give them money forever. But if you could fix it just by changing your diet or things like that, then that's a lot of money out the window. So it was a similar story. I've read a little bit about the Mewing Method, where the guy who invented it was an orthodontist, right? And I think the orthodontist community really doesn't like him for a similar reason, right? Because a lot of money to be made on braces.
I think he also lost his medical degree or license because of that.
Right.
Somewhere I read it, so I guess he's pretty hated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like with everyone, presenting like alternative ways, and also teaching people to open their mind and letting go of all the limiting beliefs. Like, I mean, for my jaw transformation, it's not only the jaw that transformed. So I went through a whole body adaptation through weightlifting, eating healthier, like you did, and you change your complete brain and the functions. So a lot of stuff goes into it. And of course, like if you have TikTok, it's like a 30-second video. If you have like a Twitter photo, it's like 2 pics. So you don't know what happens in between these 2 points in life. And yeah, as I said, a lot of goes into it. And yeah, people need to like get to know that it's only limiting beliefs that's holding them back in life. So there's a lot of or many possibilities in life to like achieve anything you want, and also realizing like epigenetic potential, the body's ability to adapt to different environments. It's very crucial to understand like what you're able to achieve in life.
Totally. And so just to keep this kind of relevant to my audience, because my channels and everything are a bit more about health than aesthetics, there's probably a lot of, like how is this relevant to women watching this who don't necessarily want a giant jaw, or anybody who just is more interested in their health? There's a lot of health benefits too to mewing, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Like with mewing, I can briefly explain. Like mewing is, for once, your tongue posture. So you try to press your whole tongue against the upper mouth, against your palate, and you try to keep like pressure on it. And to assure that, you have to have your mouth closed. You have to breathe through your nose. Also, what mewing consists of is like proper posture. So you could also make the connection to like training, keeping your body healthy, and of course also nutrition. Like it's not per se mewing or Dr. Mew then, but one interesting book maybe for the listeners is Dr. Weston A. Price's book Physical Degeneration, where you look like at facial structure, jaw structure, and you wondered why in Western world teeth and jaws got worse, facial expressions got worse, where the people actually got uglier. And he also connected a lot of these stuff to proper nutrition. So yeah, it's like holding your tongue in the right position, holding your head in the right position, and breathing through your nose. And with that, you're not only able to change like the structure of your face, of your jaw, let your chin come more forward. It's also like with nose breathing, it's better for your oral health. Bad breath gets away with it. You activate the parasympathetic nerve system, so the rest and digest through nose breathing, through mouth, or like if you would to hyperventilate, you would breathe through your mouth. Like it's the fight or flight mode then. So you get way more relaxed, you get deeper sleep with it, clearer thoughts with it. Like your whole life changes with stuff like this if you have been doing it wrong before.
Yeah. Another thing I've heard is that as the jaw becomes stronger, this might be a slightly different therapy, but am I correct that your palate widens and that opens up your nasal cavity more? Or was that a different therapy? Yeah?
No. That's exactly that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like you give also your teeth more room to grow. You're pushing them outwards. You're creating your palate bigger, yeah. And it's always...
So it's not just the lower like jaw that grows, it's the palate as well.
Yeah. So you have like the masala, it's called. Like it's the part around your nose, and that's also like gets pushed forward with the tongue pressure. So like the bone structure of your head is not really, it's not one bone. There's connective tissue between the different parts of your head, and that's the whole theory behind mewing. Like that, with pressure, with proper chewing, tongue posture, you're able to have the body, the head. Adapt, move like the connective tissue around, and that also goes like into Wolff's law, like building up bone through resistance, and yeah.
That's fascinating. So I'd imagine there's like some like benefits. Is there like a cognitive benefits that like do you have more room for your brain? I think I heard John Mew or his son, who now teaches that, say that there's increased blood flow to the brain, like as the palate gets wider and things open up, that you can actually get more blood to your brain, like it makes more space for the blood vessels or something.
That's something I didn't read really into it, but yeah, I imagine it could be, like especially like with the vagus nerve going through your nose, stimulating it through like nose breathing. Again, like you have the whole adaptations of being more relaxed and getting clearer thoughts.
So I think the most extreme thing that I saw you mention you do was the mastic gum. So can you tell us a little bit about what mastic gum is and what extent you used it to get the results?
Essentially, it's like a jaw trainer. It's a hard chewing gum. So it's from the mastic tree in Greece. So it's a natural product. I don't know, what do you call it in English? Like the droplets from a tree?
Sap, resin.
Yeah. So, and if you put it in your mouth, so it's pretty hard and also breaks easily, but if you put it in your mouth, let it get warm, a bit wet, it gets like pretty chewy, but it's way stronger than normal chewing gum. But I've actually been doing that only recently to try to increase my jaw even more. What I've been doing over the last years is just basic normal chewing gum chewing. So I've always like, if I'm not eating, I've always chewed on gum, or now it's mastic gum. So I've always tried to keep my jaw also in training, and I've also chewed like the gums long enough to them also to be really hard and stiff, and to get like a jaw training going. Yeah, but it's essentially the healthy way of training your jaw, because like with all the jaw trainers that are out there, also with all their marketing, like you have to open up your mouth pretty wide, and also like now it's.
Yeah, I tried the Jazzercise one where it's like a ball that sits, and you just chew it with your front teeth, which I thought was really weird to begin with. Like you'd think the back teeth were what you would want to work on, but I found it very very uncomfortable. My jaw got extremely painful, and I just didn't feel like it was helping anything.
Especially like if you talk about widening the palate, like if you only use your front teeth, there's not much action with the back teeth. And it's a very unnatural way of chewing. So you wouldn't chew food like that, or like would try to rip meat off a bone or stuff like that. And it actually, in really bad cases, it can lead to like dislocation of the jaw. So these jaw trainers are actually pretty. Sometimes pretty harmful. But that's totally different with mastic gum then. It's like exactly like a chewing gum, but way harder, so you actually have to use your teeth. Like especially in today's modern world, the problem is like all the processed food being very like soft food most of the time, easy to chew, easy to swallow. So they want to trigger you to eat more. Like McDonald's, they don't want you to chew like forever on this burger. And that's where the problems derive then, and where mastic gum can come in handy, like really using your teeth.
So you basically went like 1 or 2 years where you just chewed gum all the time when you weren't eating. Like anytime you weren't eating, you're chewing gum. And that's basically what got you from where you were before to where you are now for the most part. What's like the minimum investment somebody would make if they didn't want to go that extreme? Like, is like an hour of chewing gum a day, does that make a difference? What does the mewing method itself actually recommend? Yeah,
well, with mewing, it's actually like for every spare time you have. If you're not talking, if you're not chewing, you have to have your tongue up on the roof of your mouth. So it's basically, it has to be a habit. also like chewing gum. And if you perform everything like a habit, like you did with eating healthy, moving your body adapts way more. So you have to have that constant exposure to really have high adaptability.
Yeah.
Like if you want to have like drastic changes like I had, you really have to incorporate it for a long time and throughout the whole day. So it's really a lifestyle. It's not just
okay.
some
So the chewing gum and the tongue posture.
Yeah.
At the same time, so you press your tongue in the roof of your mouth while you chew.
No, that not. So if you would be chewing, you wouldn't do it. But like especially with sleeping, you could do techniques like mouth taping. Or I mean, it's really tough to chew mastic gum the whole day. So eventually your jaw gets tired and you have to take a break, and that's the time where you try to have your tongue against the roof of your mouth.
Oh, okay. Do you recommend people start with mastic gum, or is normal gum probably a better place to start for most people?
Like if they haven't been chewing, actually any gum, if they haven't had like a good healthy diet with like raw carrots or stuff like that, where they also have to chew, like I would always start slow. Like in weight training, you would always start with the lowest weight and progress slowly. And but if you wanted to jump right into mastic gum, you should definitely, like in the beginning, keep it up to a maximum of 30 minutes, and from there on progress slowly, because it can be pretty tough and pretty hard, especially like for someone who hasn't been also regularly chewing gum. So for me, I started with when I started with like 1 to 2 hours the first week, and it was also already pretty tough. So tougher than I've ever felt with chewing gum for a whole day. And but it progressed pretty quickly, I guess, because like the adaptability of my body is pretty high, and I also can push through a bit of pain. And eventually it became like normal chewing. So like you don't really notice it, you don't really see it like a training, but eventually it gets pretty tiring and you have to take a break. But especially like with the chewing and also with mastic gum, that's one advantage also of it. Like with you strengthening your jaw, you also strengthen your tongue, and actually like also with the chewing, you widen your palate and you make it easier for your tongue to be up against the roof of your mouth. So it goes like hand in hand. It also makes like with the mastic gum, it has like the essential oils of the tree in it. So it also helps with breathing, and it's like it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I've heard of taking, before this, I only heard of mastic gum as a supplement you take as like a bowel disinfectant.
Yeah, for
like
digestion.
Antimicrobial properties.
Yeah. That's another plus. Like, if you're tired of it, you don't know where to put it. Like, just swallow it. It's good for you.
You can just swallow it.
Like, I wouldn't do that.
Does your body digest it, or is it like gum where you poop it out like 6 months later?
It's do
you actually digest it?
Yeah, you digest it. It's also it dissolves in your body, so it gets completely broken down. Like if you chew it long enough, you also like you could really use mastic gum, and I would also recommend it because like it's a bit pricier than just industry like oil plastic chewing gum, of course, as a natural product. So you can reuse it, and eventually like you chew it long enough that it also just dissolves in your mouth.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's also used for cooking, so it has a big tradition. I mean, I think it's also under the UNESCO. It's like protected, so it has a pretty long history. I think it goes back also to the antique. So these trees are really old, and they are only on this one island and in Greece.
Greece is so wild like that. I feel like they got a bunch of plants like that. I was just drinking a tea called dittany tea, Dittany, that it like only grows on this one island, Isle of Crete in Greece.
Ah.
So it's extremely weird tea. It's almost like a potpourri, that weird blend people have in their bathroom sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
It's like super pungent. It's almost not even good. It's more just like, oh, that's interesting. It's like, you don't drink it because you like it. But maybe it has some health benefits or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say that, the Greeks say that it's like a panacea, like it's good for everything, every illness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there has to be a reason
why
the antique was so rich in like in everything, in science and philosophical ideas, stuff like that. I think I don't know if it was last year or the year before, there was like a bad fire also in Greece. And because of that fire, there was also an olive tree that burned down, and it was like one of the oldest olive trees, or it is the oldest olive tree in the world. And it has also been like standing there during the antique time. So like when you have something like that.
That's incredible.
Definitely.
It's always amazing to think about how long trees can be around. Like we got trees in California where I used to live that are like 1,500 years old and stuff. And it's just crazy to think about that. I guess this olive tree must be older than that if it was around during antiquity.
Yeah, it's crazy like what they can actually experience, like what's going on in the world. Like if you think there are trees like surviving like the world wars we had or stuff like that. And last weeks we had a pretty hefty storm here in Germany, and actually a lot of trees broke down. And it was also amazing, like seeing the power of nature and seeing like big trees just being cracked like a toothpick. Yeah. And what power is behind such big trees.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a question for you. So so part of the idea of the mewing method is that it helps your teeth to find more space in your mouth. So it was sort of, I guess it was mostly invented to begin with to help people with crooked teeth, because it was invented by an orthodontist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the orthodontist world is mad at him, because he's, helping people fix their teeth without thousands of dollars of braces and stuff. But so I had braces as a kid, and I have this like permanent retainer glued behind my teeth.
Yeah.
So for people who have like retainers or braces or just like stuff already going on, like holding things together, like should they wait until those are out before they start trying to transform their mouth? Or is it safe to do these while you still have those in? Do you know?
Well, I'm no doctor, so don't take my word for it.
Okay.
But I would feel like if the retainer would get then uncomfortable because your teeth are moving, like you would notice it and could speak like to your orthodontist. And but yeah, it's I would always like try to do things which aid the natural way. So I've also had braces during my childhood, and like if I would have known that with chewing, like proper tongue posture, good nutrition, I would have been able to like transform my jaw, my teeth, and align them maybe more properly. I would have definitely also tried it this way and get rid of like the braces. Also, like today's, I think one of the biggest problems today is people getting their wisdom teeth removed. Like it happens so often. Like I still have mine. So, but I've had a dentist who told me like, yeah, we have to remove them, and you're getting infections and stuff like that. But I didn't want to believe him.
You made enough room in your mouth for them, basically.
Yeah, and
which is. That part's so mind-blowing that, like, our bodies are naturally designed to have a certain amount of teeth, and then dentists are like, oh no, that's too many teeth. Like, nature's wrong. Yeah. We're right. You're not supposed to have that many teeth. And it's like, well, then why does everybody have that amount of teeth? Obviously, there's something wrong if, like, our jaws and mouths are not accommodating these teeth. And I think Dr. Mew is right about that it was just the modern diet is so much softer. That can you explain a little bit about this? Because I think the modern medical view is that once you're done puberty, you can't grow more bone. Like once the bone plates have like finished growing, then you can't add more. And I think this method kind of disproves that, right? Because it's not just adding muscle to your jaw, it's actually adding bone, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the whole theory behind the Wolff's Law. So, and this Wolff's Law is also already pretty old, and it's actually pretty basic biology stuff. So actually everyone should know it, also like doctors, and especially like with weight training, you also have like the adaptation of bone density. So if you resistance train, you get stronger, the bone density rises, and it's good for you. So apparently there is like cell structure building itself up, making your bones tougher, maybe also making them thicker. So yeah, I don't know why like some doctors keep telling stuff like this. I mean, but it's basically like the whole maybe source of all the limiting beliefs. Like people always saying like, nah, that's not possible, and blah blah blah, and yeah, you're gonna have to live with that your whole life and whatever. Like my whole journey also started like only with 18. So essentially when my body was already like mostly grown out, and I still have made these changes. So
how old are you now?
I'm 25 now.
Okay.
Wait, I got that wrong.
I noticed this. I noticed this. I noticed a slight difference when I was about 28, and I started taking really high doses of vitamin K, and I noticed that I didn't actually. That's not why I was taking it. I was taking it for like other health reasons, and then I was just kind of noticing like, wow, I'm like 28, and like it looks like my face like changed over the last like year or so. Like it looked like I became like more like mature and masculine and square jawed and everything, and I didn't know why that was. And I was, and then just randomly I was kind of reading up on vitamin K, and one of the side effects can be that it'll actually add bone to your face.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I wonder if I like growing up I had a little bit of a vitamin K deficiency, and I was just kind of correcting that now.
Well, that's.
But it's funny the random things that'll change things.
Definitely, and that's one thing like Weston A. Price also talks about in his book, and it's a lot.
The nutrient deficiencies.
Yeah, nutrient deficiencies, and especially the fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, K, vitamin K. Like especially with today's modern diet, like you always get told to eat low fat, low cholesterol. Like it's also bad for you, and so you don't get the good vitamins in, and. Yeah, but they are really crucial for good bone structure, bone development, and building. Also, like you said, now you're also focusing like on the aesthetic side, like fulfilling nature's beauty of the human body, letting it really thrive and build itself up properly by giving it all the nutrient it needs.
Yeah, I think we come with like a blueprint for what we're kind of supposed to grow into, and if you're missing certain vitamins or nutrients or environmental factors, like chewy enough stuff to chew on, seems like you don't necessarily fill into what nature intended. Yeah, Weston Price had some really good examples of this. He would, I partly read some of his books. He would go to villages where everybody's eating a traditional diet, doing all their old traditional stuff, and then some of them, like even sometimes like twins, he would get to study, but often just like a sibling. Like there'd be two kids born from the same parents, same family, and one of them would stay in the village and live the traditional lifestyle, and the other would move to the city to get a job in a factory and all that. And within just one generation, the people that moved to the city and started eating the modern diet and everything would look completely different from the people who lived in the village. They would have much like thinner, narrower faces, and their teeth would not fit in their mouth. They would all have crooked teeth, and they'd be getting cavities, and they couldn't breathe as well. Like their noses were, like their nasal cavity was narrower, so they had trouble breathing, and often asthma issues and all kinds of things like that. And the people who stayed in the village, their faces were wider, their jaws were wider, they had perfect straight teeth, they had better breathing, they had less disease. And so it's really interesting how like the aesthetics and health actually kind of crosses over each other in some of these areas where like there is a reason we find certain faces more beautiful, and it's often because like some faces, a face can actually tell you a lot about a person's health and how well they developed and everything through childhood and adolescence and all that. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the whole, like if you also go back to like the Renaissance, you also see with the statues being built, paintings being made, like they all have like certain certain appearances. They like, you look at the David statue from Michelangelo, and you also see like he's lean, he has also a big jaw, like his face is also like, it expresses something. It's not just one blob of face or whatever. So and then I mean, that's eventually the time where like they talked about like the Fibonacci numbers and stuff like that. So in nature you see a different pattern, like the nature's chaos is actually order. So what everything nature does is really the true beauty. And like with us humans being so disconnected from nature, stuffing our faces now with, especially in the Western world, with all these processed foods, like sitting indoors all day, having factory farmed whatever stuff, and we're not actually fueling our bodies right. Not living actually to our potential, and lost totally that connection to nature, and thus all these deformities actually evolve and happen.
Nice. Well, I think this was really interesting. I guess the other question that's been bugging me this whole time is for the tongue against the roof of the mouth. We actually do that in Qigong, so I don't know if you checked out my channel or anything that much, but the main thing I teach is, it's called Qigong, so it's like a Chinese movement art for health and meditation and everything. Yeah, okay, cool. So it's also a principle in Qigong to have your tongue against the roof of the mouth, but they're not really thinking about it physically, they're thinking about it like energetically. They say touching the tongue to the roof of the mouth helps kind of ground your mind into your body, makes like a bridge for the energy of your mind to be more grounded.
Yeah.
And so the way they talk about it is like you're basically just touching the tip of your tongue against the roof of the mouth, just behind the teeth. It's just to make the connection, not really to push into it or do anything like that. So can you tell us the difference between that and what you're doing? Like how much pressure are you putting against the roof of the mouth with the tongue, and where exactly is the tongue resting in relation to the teeth and everything?
Yeah, you also have like the tip of your tongue like slightly behind your teeth, so you don't want to be pushing your tongue against the teeth. And then it's essentially like if you say the word sing, like you press the back of your tongue against the roof of your mouth, and that's the position you're trying to hold. So actually like having the whole back of your tongue against the roof of your mouth. And there's also like two different types of mewing then. Like you have the normal mewing where you essentially just have slight pressure and you actually try to relearn the position of the tongue, like trying to make it natural and having or carrying your tongue this position throughout your day or when you sleep. And with hard mewing, you're putting extra pressure on it, so you're really pressing the tongue against the roof of your mouth. So essentially, like if you would be to swallow, the pressure you have while swallowing, you would try to make it even or exaggerate it even more, so you're pushing really hard. But the normal way is just also just having a normal resting tongue against the roof of your mouth, and with that essentially getting the adaptations. Like with hard mewing, you would maybe get quicker adaptations and changes because you're pushing with way much more force against the masala. But eventually, like if you have the pressure points wrong, you could also be like pressing in wrong directions and actually also leading to deformities again. So you want to make sure that the the posture is really right of your tongue. So it's what if you say sing, and the back part of your tongue has to be against the roof of your mouth, and that's where like pressure has to be.
Okay, so that's not on the S part of sing, on the part of sing.
Yeah, right.
Right. That kind of makes sense. Cool. Well, if anybody is super inspired to do this but is still super confused, do you do coaching or anything we can direct people to?
Yes. So my website is Marcel, and then like in Germany you say Schaar, SCHAA.
We'll write it down in the description.
Yeah. Or I have to fix my domain. The easier link would be marcel.fit.
Okay.
I think that should get everyone right.
That's an easy one to remember.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or like on Twitter or Instagram, that's also where people can hit me up.
Cool. Well, I'll link to all those below. So if anybody wants to improve their breathing or their facial aesthetics or fix their teeth or just get super jacked, because I'll have put up some of the pictures up here. Marcel's a pretty ripped guy, so if you want to learn any of that stuff, follow Marcel or even book an appointment with him. Marcel, thanks for coming on. This was super fun. Really fun picking your brain. I've been really curious about mewing for a long time, so it was fun to talk to somebody who kind of knows what they're doing with it.
Thank you for having me and letting me allow to talk about it. I think it's also pretty interesting and like to let people experience like the whole idea behind it, and presenting it this way. Thanks again. Really enjoyed it, and also love like the changes you have made in your life, like with what you're trying to teach the people, and I think something like culturally like the Qigong is pretty awesome, and people should definitely incorporate something like this more into their life.